Kismödi, Chief Executive of Sexual and Reproductive Health Matters, and I'm here today in Beirut, Lebanon, at the Asfari Institute of Civil Society and Citizenship at the American University of Beirut with Lina Abou Habib, Director of the Asfari Institute. Thank you very much, Lina, for being available. We are just after an incredibly inspiring and moving event the Institute has hosted about feminist memory and transitional justice, women reclaiming peace processes. This important dialogue brought together women-led justice movement perspectives from Lebanon, Syria, Mexico, Colombia, and Chile, bringing Latin America and the region together. Can you please tell us more about the event?
Yes, of course. I think we all know, to some extent, if you are in the field, we all know and are familiar with various processes for transitional justice led by women in Latin America. And what is interesting about this initiative is that they start with a recognition of what happened 50 years. Those who remain alive amongst the family of the forcibly disappeared are still there demanding truth and justice. Syria is a more fresh case because we know that in 12 years of uprising and brutal repression by the former regime, there have been something like 150,000 declared and known forced disappearance. And the issue with Lebanon and Syria is that there has never been a serious political will because everybody is implicated in this brutal past. So the idea was to bring the conversation between women from Latin America and women from Lebanon and Syria to engage in first of all, what does justice mean for women, and why is transitional justice and reparation, the way women define it, seen as something that is necessary for rebuilding communities and rebuilding states and rebuilding nations. That's the purpose of this event.
Can you say a little bit more what is transitional justice and feminism? How are they connected?
In the experiences that we've had in the region, honestly, we never had an experience of transitional justice, which is moving from a context where you had an oppressed people and an oppressive system to moving into a situation where actually a situation of democracy, a situation of full participation, of recognition of rights, of justice, etc. So how does this movement look like? In our context, for instance, I'll just focus on Lebanon. In 1990, the warlords went to Ta'if in Saudi Arabia. They agreed on a peace, which wasn't peace really, it was how they would divide power amongst them. So those who were warring and who were killing each other and killing people amongst each other just got together and decided peace will mean this is what I'm going to have and this is how we will divide the pie. That is not transitional justice. And the major violation that we had in Lebanon was the fact that the warlords amongst themselves decided that there would be an amnesty covering all the crimes. So they legalized impunity. You didn't have anymore a framework to take those who did wrong to justice. This did not happen in Latin America. There was a process of recognition, of seeking the truth in various different ways, of reparation, and of actually taking people to justice not for revenge purposes, but actually to make sure that those who have been wronged, justice has been brought to them, and that you don't have this happening again. And what we did in Lebanon by institutionalizing and codifying impunity through an amnesty, we made sure that this will continue. And from what we're seeing in Syria, again, we're not, according to the activists, not somebody from outside Syria, there is also a serious concern that there will not be a proper transitional justice system. A system that recognizes, that seeks the truth, that provides justice and reparation to the victims. That's,
That's part of feminism. And Especially sexual and reproductive justice comes into the picture.
And that's where it is even more complicated. As we were talking yesterday, conflict, genocide, any kind of significant stress that comes to one community does not create a situation of inequality. It builds on the inequality that exists and amplifies it. So, and this is where the whole issue of the non-recognition of sexual crimes comes around. In normal times, if I can ever talk about normal times in the region, sexual violations are taboo, they are not recognized. The victims are shamed, not those who perpetrate sexual. So imagine this in a situation of lawlessness and conflict, and where you, in any case, before any conflict, you did not have even a recourse, not a legal recourse, and also social gender norms are such that women are at fault for having been sexually assaulted, for instance. So this becomes even bigger in situations of conflict, or like in Lebanon or in Syria, etc. Because the taboo is greater, and the sexual crime is not recognized. Plus, rape is used as a weapon of war because that's the way you humiliate the other side. That's the way you subdue the other side.
And the yesterday event was also focusing a lot about bringing and documenting women's narratives, women's stories, and you had a national hero, I think, Farad Halwani, a groundbreaking activist and who brought the justice system and the law to a different level at Lebanon. Can you talk about why, how it works?
Yes, Farad was one of the first, I think she mentioned it yesterday. Her husband was taken from their home 43 years ago, and since then nobody knows where he is. But yesterday she was saying something that, and I want to link it to the fact that this is really embodies what we mean when we say, when feminists say the personal is political. She clearly said that she started first by she was looking for her husband, and then she realized after that she was looking for all the disappeared, and everything was linked. And through this work, she was able to find a connection with women from all. Let me just go back. Every protagonist in the war in Lebanon was implicated in forced disappearance. There was no innocent party, and all these parties were at war. But the most important thing that Farad contributed to, amongst other things, was the connection between all the women who, in a normal context, there would have been various sectarian or political or geographical tensions amongst them. But when they found themselves in a situation of looking for forcibly disappeared, it didn't matter. They realized that it didn't matter who abducted or who made their family members disappear. The situation and the injustice was the same, regardless of who the perpetrator was. It was a political issue that affected them all, regardless of what were their sectarian or regional or personal or political affiliations. And I think she has carried out this battle for 43 years, and they set up the Committee for the Families of the Disappeared in Lebanon. I remember she told me once that, because I was asking the disappeared in Lebanon, what is the profiles, the gender profiles? And she told me that 94% of the disappeared in Lebanon, believed to be 16,000, 94% are men and 6% are women. But the proportion is reversed in terms of who is leading the struggle for the truth for the disappeared, which connects with the struggles in Latin America, where women have been, at the forefront of demanding truth for the disappeared. And that's something that we need to keep in mind. That this is what makes it a feminist struggle. The fact that it's not a personal, it's not the issue of one individual, it's a political issue, and also its implications are very much feminist. And we've heard from the Colombian ambassador yesterday how the reparation in Colombia took into consideration the impact on women because they are women, so the impact on economic impact, the stigma, and there were reparative measures that were based on this recognition.
Like giving land, for example,
yes,
for
yes,
indigenous women.
yes.
So it was really an incredible event, bringing women voices from Lebanon, Syria, and from the 3 Latin American countries. What is your key takeaway from the event?
I think the key takeaway is that we owe it really to feminist activism and to feminist activists, or to women activists who do not recognize that this is a feminist struggle. We really, the fight for the truth, we owe it to them. The Lebanese, successive Lebanese governments have always counted intentionally on the fact that the issue will disappear once everybody dies. And I think, and everybody will die in the end.
Yeah.
But one thing that we can do to support this, because this is not a matter that is only about 16,000 families. This is a matter which is about how do we live together in a country. We owe it to them, having kept this matter on the political agenda for this time. And our role is how do we contribute to keep this matter alive? Because, as far as I have been conscious about it, I have seen people from this committee of families dying, dropping dead one after the other. And so what our role, I think, as an institute in a brilliant academic institution, is to make sure that we contribute to keeping this memory, keeping the information, amplifying the information, and curating these spaces where people talk to each other and we realize that this is a global issue which makes us even stronger.
Thank you so much for this conversation, and really sincere congratulations for this
fantastic event.
Thank you for being with us. Thank you very much.